Hi, I'm Homi Adajania. I'm a film director and I'm here to answer on the scene questions for IMDb. And you know why I love IMDb? Because IMDb reflects the audience's wishes, the audience's critique, and finally we make films for the audience and no one else. And that's the biggest thing that matters. We are discussing my latest web show, which is also my debut in long format, which is called Saas Bahu or Flamingo. This was the dining table sequence where the whole family sits together. First time you see them all together. What I really enjoyed about the scene is I wanted to explore the mind spaces of all the characters. What I love about it is it's a very dystopian dinner, which I would love to be invited for. I wanted to play with this sort of awkwardness, the acceptance of the lies that's being run along the table. The audience has the privilege of having all the information of what's going on at that dinner, as opposed to obviously the characters in it. I remember editing quite a few versions of this scene. For me, it was important to give a glimpse into the interpersonal dynamics of all the family members and how fractured they really are. If they're threatened from the outside, they'll all have each other's backs. But somehow, as soon as the family politics within the Haveli plays around, they're all ready to stab each other in the back. Yeah, so I mean, just playing with the whole sort of this fractured dystopian dinner setup was very interesting. Okay, so I'll tell you a beautiful, poignant moment I went through on Angrezi medium with Irfan. It's a scene where he and his cousin, where they both have come to London and they meet. Irfan meets his daughter. Suddenly, I mean, after being the most cajoling, beautiful, pampering, love you to death single father for his daughter Tarika, it's the first time he flips around on her. It comes from a scene where he suddenly realizes for the first time he's going to lose his daughter, not in terms of lose her, but she's growing up and she has to be let go of. And I think that's what hits him, and that is why he suddenly behaves in a very uncanny, aggressive way, which is not consistent to his character. This actually has nothing to do with the technicality of the scene. It's a very sort of emotional story. I remember Radhika Madan getting budged out by her father's character. So it was a very beautiful scene and quite emotional. And finally, the father leaves and he says that from now on, I'm not your father and you're not my daughter. And so we finished shooting that scene. It was executed to the pitch that we wanted from both the characters. The conflict was quite clear. And I remember sitting with Irfan, literally on the sofa like this, and we were sitting and we were chatting, and he kept looking at where we had just shot the scene, and he kept looking at it and looking at it, and I was talking to him, so I was getting a little irritated that he was distracted, and I said, "You've left your phone there or what?" So he said, "No, man," and he was just kept staring at that, and he said, I'm just remembering that entire scene play out, and I'm wondering who did that." And the way it dropped for me when he said that, this is why I love my craft, because it is an experience that is so out of body, and it's a higher experience which I would never be able to experience if it wasn't for this craft. I can't remember who did that. I remember it happening, but I can't remember doing it. And when you're so present in the moment that the baggage of your identity, of who you are, all that just sort of withers away, and you are just that essence of your character and nothing else. And that is what he was experiencing at that moment, and I think that's what kept him going. I remember telling him, I said that you don't need to do this. It wasn't like he was well, it wasn't like he was, but he said that nahi yaar homie, mujhe mera craft se itna mohabbat hai na. If I wasn't acting, I think I would die earlier. And that really was just something else. Yeah, it was such a beautiful moment. Being Cyrus was my first film. I don't remember much of it because I've grown old now. But I remember I was a scuba diving instructor who lied to the world and told everyone that I know how to make movies. And for some reason, no one asked me what I had done before. So in 6 months of the script coming out, I was shooting the film. I think a very poignant scene in Being Cyrus is where Dimple's character is having an affair with her husband's brother, who is Baman Irani's character. And she just can't bear being with her husband Nasir anymore. And she's taken her phone and she's talking to Baman, who's in Bombay, and she's having this slightly clandestine kind of scene and talking to him on the phone. And she turns around and realizes has come out of a well and is standing right behind her, and he completely startles her, so she loses her shit and starts screaming aggressively and abusing him. And he's looking for his shoes because he's cut his foot. And she screams at him, and then she says, "Why are you looking in the well?" And he said, "I got pulled in because I saw these flowers, these beautiful wild flowers that are growing in a well." And she starts looking at it, and I remember when we shot the scene, for that moment, she gets fully lured into the simplicity, the beautiful words that he says. He says that, "Look at the flowers." He says, "It's true, na. God is in the small detail." And she gets so drawn in for that second. And that is when you realize that, oh my God, there is a humanness in this woman, as macabre and cold as she is. She gets reconnected with that. Till, of course, the moment gets broken as soon as it starts, because he picks up his muddy chappal and whacks her on the face by mistake with it. And she screams, she gets lost, and she goes back into her own reality, and she says, "If God is in the little details, then who looks after the bigger picture, you idiot?" I remember that scene quite clearly because I thought Naseer was going to fall into the well. That was fun. Don't forget to catch my show Saas Bahu or Flamingo on Disney Plus Hotstar. And please don't forget to contribute, whether it's trivia, what do you guys like, what do you guys don't like, just stuff about all the work we do on IMDb, because finally the content is yours and IMDb is a platform for the audiences, and we make films for the audience. Thank you.